Hey, welcome back. It's Nolan Mathias from Mortgage 360, and the latest numbers out of Toronto indicate that the Canadian real estate market may have finally flipped. That's right, it may be cooling down, and we're going to get into all the details, talk about the numbers, talk about what's happening and why, and ultimately what it means to you. But before we get into it, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. And don't forget about our race to 25,000 subscribers, where when we get to 25,000 subscribers, we're going to put $5,000 in one lucky subscriber's TFSA, RSP, or RESP. So go ahead, click that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, and it's definitely worth it. The definitive guide on how to manage your credit, product, penalty, price, in that order. It's never been more important to get your mortgage right. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's discuss the latest numbers out of the Toronto real estate market, because April was not the month that everyone expected. It's not the month that everyone felt like was going to happen. In fact, the numbers for April were down compared to March. Now, they were significantly up compared to April of 2020. That was definitely to be as expected. However, that decrease in price and decrease in number of transactions compared to March certainly was not. So let's get into it and jump right into the news articles, of course, going to our favorite source, BNN Bloomberg, because again, always feel that they cover the real estate market and the financial markets the best with respect to the Canadian markets. And here's the headline: Toronto housing stalls in April as prices slip from record highs. So if you weren't with us last month on the real estate market update, what we noticed was that the Toronto real estate market seemed poised to break that $1.1 million mark. They're up about 33% from the previous year. They reached $1,097,000 for their average home price in the GTA area. And it was almost a certainty that they were going to break $1.1 million this month in April. But lo and behold, it didn't happen. They ended up at $1,090,000 instead of 1.1. So what that means is it's actually about a 3% drop in housing prices between March and April of this year, which is really interesting. And I have to commend the Toronto Real Estate Board, TREB, for putting out these numbers, because rather than putting out the numbers and making it appear like the market was still hot, obviously there was 362% more sales in April 2021 than there was in April 2020. They came out and they compared the numbers to the previous month. And if we go ahead and we take a look at those numbers, what you'll see is that the seasonally adjusted number of sales is actually down. It's less than what was expected. So in March 2021, there were 13,406 sales. In April, 10,759. Now, these are seasonally adjusted numbers, so they've adjusted it for what should happen in the market. These aren't the real numbers, but they are pretty close, and they're a pretty good indication of what is happening in the market. If we want the real numbers, we can go and we can look and see that in April of 2021, there were 13,663 sales, and in March, there was 15,652. So obviously that number is down. That momentum is starting to wane in that Toronto housing market. And the question is why? Like, what's happening here? Why all of a sudden do we have this really hot fall, really hot winter? December comes up, and I'm not talking weather-wise, I'm talking real estate-wise. December rolls through, March rolls through, everything seems to be going crazy, and it looks like there's nowhere but up to go. And then all of a sudden in April of 2021, it's like, oh, wait, the numbers weren't what we expected. We expect the numbers to be higher in April, not lower in April. And the reason for that seems to be that we may just have exhausted the number of buyers in the market. Now, I've been saying in the last few videos, in these crazy markets, you don't have to get into bidding wars. Usually if you wait 3 to 4 months, 3 to 6 months, you'll usually see the market cool down as the number of buyers that are available to the market start to run out. And that seems to be what is happening, is all of those buyers who were probably going to be buyers in 2022 or 2023 or 2024, they moved up their buying decisions to 2021. And the reason why is because of a change in preferences. They needed bigger houses because they're working from home more often. They want to be closer to amenities like the outdoors rather than amenities like restaurants and bars. And in all honesty, we saw this major push of people who are probably buyers or sellers a few years down the road into 2021. And it seems like all of those buyers that may have been thinking about getting into the market have either already done so or they're putting their plans on hold, which means less buyers, which means less sales, which effectively means a lower price in the market, or an average lower price in the market. And what'll be interesting will be to see how May and June's numbers play out, because if May and June's numbers continue to go down from a price perspective, what that will likely be indicating to us is that we've hit a top of the market. And here's what happens further if we've hit the top of the market. Well, okay, housing is clearly the leading piece of the economy right now. It is what is driving the Canadian economy. If it starts to cool out, well, then our GDP numbers start to slow down. And if our GDP numbers start to slow down, well, then price growth will start to slow down. And what that means is that inflation will start to slow down, and inflation therefore leads to a longer period of time at lower interest rates. So if this trend continues into May and June, and then ultimately into the summer of seeing that Toronto market flatten out, what it may mean is that we've seen the Canadian market flip. We may have seen the craziness go away, the number of buyers that are available to the market start to slow down, which means less demand, and ultimately means that there will be a little bit more supply available and more reasonable housing prices. Now, I don't foresee a crash in housing prices. Now, there is that potential that foreclosures could happen as deferrals start to become less widely available, and as government programs for funding start to go away. But my guess is that what we're going to see is that the numbers where we're at right now are probably going to remain pretty flat. And they are pretty much where they should be compared to the reduction in interest rates that we've seen in the last year. And we always use the 1%, 10% rule. So a 1% reduction in interest rates typically translates into a 10% increase in prices, increase in values, or increase in affordability. What we saw was about a 1.5% reduction in interest rates over the last year, which means we should see about a 15% increase in housing prices. That seems to be pretty consistent with where we're at across the country. Obviously, in some markets, we're up more than that. But, I think for the most part, what we found is we found that affordability number that makes sense for the interest rate environment that we're in. And we found that limit of the number of potential buyers that are out there. And therefore, we're starting to see that stabilization in that market. So my guess is if you wait another month or two, you won't have to be buying in crazy bidding wars where you are going in condition free and offering the most you can possibly afford for a house. No, my guess is that the market's going to cool out. It's going to return to a little bit of normalcy, and that you're going to have a lot easier time finding a house that's affordable without having to worry about bidding against 40 other buyers. Now, if you're in the market for a home, we've got a couple of products for you. First and foremost, we have the Secrets to Getting the Lowest Interest Rate course. Obviously, not everybody can come to Mortgage 360. We would love it if everyone could in an ideal world, but there's obviously people that have already found their broker, already found their bank, and that's okay. But what we wanted to make sure was that everybody out there has at least the access to the same information that our clients get when they choose us to help them pick the best mortgage for them at Mortgage 360. So what we did was we put together a course called Secrets to Getting the Lowest Interest Rate. We talk about how to negotiate with your bank, how to negotiate with a broker, what you can negotiate and what you can't. So things that you can include like a home inspection or like an appraisal fee, and ultimately how much margin there is available in a mortgage, so that you know when you're going into a negotiation how much you can really ask them to take off the price. And that chapter alone in the course is worth the price of admission. We've priced the course so low that it is easily accessible to anybody who is going into the process of purchasing a home. And by design, you should get 10 to 50 times your investment back in the course just by knowing what you can negotiate and what you can't negotiate in. So I've put a link in the description below to the course, along with a coupon code for an additional 50% off the already discounted price. We've also got our first time homebuyers bootcamp going. You cannot get into that course right now, but there is a waiting list. All you have to do is go in and put your name and your email address in, and we will notify you as soon as the course opens back up. There's a link in the description below for that one too. And obviously, if you'd like to have Mortgage 360 help you with your mortgage, there's a link for that in the description below as well. So if you found this video useful, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. Don't forget about our race to 25,000 subscribers, and we'll see you on the very next one. Cheers.